Hi, everybody. Hi, Ben.
Hi, everybody. Hey, Robin.
You know, you're going to have to let me get used to this again. I haven't done a live since I think it was my fourth channelversary in July.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
been a few months since I've
Yeah,
done a live. So
don't
I'm
worry, we'll be
totally out
fine.
of practice. So I'm just sort of winging it here.
It's
And
okay.
I noticed we have in the chat Zach
Hey,
and
Zach.
Red Wing. I don't know. Can you see the chat?
I can see the
Oh,
comments.
good.
Yeah.
I don't have maybe I better put on my YouTube and remember to turn the sound off if I can find it. Where is it? My channel.
They keep updating these things, don't they? And I know what you mean, Robin, because I haven't done live for ages, like you being the host, and they change things, don't they, since last time?
They do. There were all these new bells and whistles, and I
Yeah.
didn't know what to do. It took me a little while to wade through them, and I thought, I'm not going to bother learning any of this stuff. It's been so long.
I know it's too much effort. Totally agree.
Hey up, Simon and Red.
Hi, Simon. Hi, Redwing.
So we were just talking before we went live. I was saying that I was hacked. For you
No.
following, I have what they call a SNAP card here, or an EBT card. It's a benefit card for seniors on limited income to help pay for the groceries. And each month, mine takes account takes effect on the 13th of the month. They add that month's credit onto my card, and then I can go spend it at the grocery. It's not like you can get cash or anything. You pay
No.
groceries with it. But anyway, it's a pretty good amount. It's like about $291. So I was telling Ben that um, just after midnight Thursday night, when it turned to midnight Friday the 13th, I was up late that night and I checked my card. And I have an app on my phone to check the balance on it. And it had been $0, 0 cents. And I look at it and it went to 291. I thought, oh, great. I got my credit. So Friday morning or Friday afternoon, I guess it was, I went to the grocery and I bought this whole basket full of groceries. And I'm going through the cashier and I go to use my card and she goes, it says insufficient funds. She said, there's only about $1 something left on your card. And I thought, well, that's not right. I just checked my app this morning and everything was there. All my new money for the month was there. So I thought, well, maybe it's like a computer glitch, like maybe because it comes in on Friday the 13th and it's near the weekend, maybe it won't actually take effect till Monday, on a work day or something. So I thought, well, let me wait. And then, like, I think it was early Sunday morning, I woke up and I thought, let me look at it again and see if somehow it like ticked over into the credit amount during the night or during the weekend, because maybe it's just an automatic computer thing. So I go on, it's still zero, but you're able to check your purchases. And I saw on there that a purchase in this grocery store had been made for $289 in Chicago. And I
Robin,
thought,
that's terrible.
hell,
I
somebody
want
wiped out all but $1 of my benefit credit.
that's so disgusting, isn't it? I mean, on
Grocery
groceries as
Chicago.
well.
So somebody somehow hacked my card or got into it. And it's like a debit card. You use it like a credit.
Yeah.
It has a PIN number, and nobody knows my PIN. So I don't know how this happened. But anyway, it was actually, before work hours on Sunday, and I thought, well, they probably aren't going to be there to help me. But I used the number on the back of the card to call them up for help. And this guy taught me through it. Actually, the first thing he said, okay, well, can you give me your social security number? And red flags went up because they all don't
Don't
give
give that away.
a social security number. I thought, well,
No.
my card has just been kind of decimated. I don't.
Yeah.
I feel a little weird about giving anybody my social security card. And he I said, is there any other way to verify this? And he goes, yeah, yeah. So he asked for my name and the number on the card, and he looked up my record. So I was relieved at that, because I thought this could be an addition of the scam. Not only
Yeah.
got my money from my card, they want my social security card. And who knows who this person is I'm talking to? It's the number on the card, but
It's
I don't know.
scary, that is, isn't it? When
So
things like that.
anyway, he went through the whole thing. He goes, well, we'll issue you a new card and you'll get it in 5 to 7 days. And I said, well, did I lose my whole month's benefits, or will it be reimbursed? He goes, oh no, it'll be credit on there. It'll be reimbursed, which I
Oh,
think
that's good.
is great. But I
Yeah.
don't know how they go about like catching whoever did it, you know?
They must have information on like where they were, possibly. I don't know. They obviously know the store, don't they, in Chicago?
Yeah, well,
Chicago's quite a way away from
our
you.
thing, I thought, you'd
Mm.
think that whoever was doing something like that would at least do it in New York City, where it would look plausible. It's like,
I know.
why
Yeah,
am I going to go to Chicago to shop for my groceries? That doesn't
that's true.
do
It's
it
a
at
little bit
all.
far, isn't it?
Yeah. So I want
Definitely.
to welcome Path
Patchwork Tarot.
Arrow
Hi,
and
Jennifer.
Nomi,
Hi, Naomi.
and Jane the Seeker just popped in.
Oh, hi,
So
Jane.
anyway, Ben and I were talking. He's
Yes.
been collecting all these scary movies and things, and he loves scary movies.
I
Now,
do. I'm so excited, Robin, about movies, as you know.
I know Simon shares that with you, and a lot of people do, and I don't get it in a way. I mean, it's like up to a point, I get it,
Mm.
but I don't understand the pathology. I don't even know if that's the right word, about people who can easily be entertained or enjoy
Oh, I
horror.
love it. I think it's a good escapism, I think, for me. And when I started watching horror films when I was about 6, because I used to go to the video shop. But I think it's escapism in a sense. And I don't know, it's like putting yourself in a different world sometimes.
Well,
And
see, now I'm okay with like classic old black and white horror movies that are more of like, they're not really scary. They're more of a hint to, drama or mystery or intrigue or whatever.
yeah,
On, into the 70s and 80s, they got worse and more and more gory, guts and gory and blood.
yes,
And
yeah,
every time something jumps out at you and the volume shrieks to 10,
yeah.
those things just like raise my blood pressure and freak me out. But
It's
still,
true.
I'm
Yeah,
intrigued sometimes to watch them despite that, because I know that next day everybody at the water cooler is going to be talking about it and I'll be missing out, FOMO. So I put myself through this torture of watching these horrible movies that I
but
think,
you told me about one the other day, didn't you? Because Halloween 3, because I
yeah,
was telling
we'll
you
get
that.
into that in a minute. But I just want
Okay.
to say, this sounds really stupid, but it's like I used to watch horror movies in the 70s and 80s, and I would get a fever. I would
Really?
physically get a fever and feel ill watching them,
Mm,
and they would just like raise my blood pressure. So
yeah,
stuff like Aliens and all that, it's like I've
yeah,
come to sort of like appreciate them, but they're
yeah,
like so freaky that
mm,
I was at this point in the 80s when stuff came out on VHS
yeah.
that I would put the volume off and fast forward through the entire movie,
Really?
see where things were going to jump out or come out at me,
Yeah,
know what was coming. And
yeah,
since it was going double or triple speed and no sound, it didn't freak me out as much.
yeah. Oh,
Then I
that's
would
interesting.
rewind the whole thing to the beginning and watch it with the sound on. And
Yeah,
it was a little bit easier. And people will say, why would you spoil it for
do
yourself
that.
that way? But it actually made it a little bit easier for me to watch. And it wasn't such a trauma, you
I
know?
think I just enjoy being scared.
Well,
which is a bit weird, isn't it?
well,
But
scary's one thing, but there's such brutality in there, like,
oh yeah, no, I mean like like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
yeah.
That's a bit too much, isn't it? I mean, I don't like kind of body gore or things like that where people are trying to hurt each other because that's just it's a bit like Hostel and all that. I don't know if you've seen those, Robin. They're like really terrible. I
I
can't watch those.
I don't mind so much if it's fighting a monster or even fighting zombies. But when
Yeah,
it's human on human brutality or human on animal brutality,
yeah,
it's
I
just
agree there.
a bit too real for me, and it's sort of like true life crime or something. It's like so
Mm.
close. I just can't.
Although saying that, I've enjoyed watching Friday the 13th because I've been watching them recently.
Yeah. So anyway, I told Ben he's collecting all these and watching them all, and I said, "Oh, check out um, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch." I said it's a real cheesy 80s movie, and a lot of people that love the Halloween franchise hated it because it veers off the path of the movie. Now, what's the name of the usual villain in the Halloween movie? What's
Michael
oh,
Myers.
Michael Myers? Yeah,
Yeah,
Michael Myers. He has the Star Trek
mask.
mask or whatever, the
Yeah,
Captain Kirk mask or something. And this one doesn't have Michael Myers in it. But
no,
for any of you that haven't seen it out there and like love cheesy 80s movies,
it is
check
cheese.
it out
Yeah,
because it's centered around this pagan witch from Ireland who's moved to the Midwest in America, or actually California, I guess, and opened this factory. And somehow they have kidnapped or sneaked one of the stones from
yes.
Stonehenge out of the circle and brought it to America to their factory where they make Halloween masks.
I mean,
And
it's very far-fetched, isn't it?
it's crazy. And it's
Yeah,
sort of a blood or human sacrifice of the children for, the Halloween spirits or something.
yeah,
But they make these masks, and one's a skull and one's a witch and the other's a pumpkin, and it's got this electronic little theme song that they play on
yeah,
TV that
yeah,
supposedly at the right time on Halloween night, when kids are in front of the TV, there's a little emblem on the back of the mask that's synchronized with this jingle. And
yeah.
when the time goes off in the commercial, all these kids, their heads like explode, snakes and bugs and things. It's
It's
crazy.
graphic, is it? Yeah, it's weird film, but it's very
But it's like
interesting.
14 more days till Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. 14 more days till Halloween. Silver
Yeah,
Shamrock.
that's
They're
the best
Silver
bit.
Shamrock masks. And it counts down, and every day it's one day less, and the same,
Yeah,
sing song, rhymey jingle, you know,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
just like crazy.
yeah.
Like my hat. I
I
just
love your hat, Robin. Did you
today.
make that?
I've been making these pumpkin hats. The first
I
one we
think that's
did was a little
amazing.
brown stem and a couple leaves on the top, but this is a little easier with just a green.
I went to a shop, Robin, in Wales, and I thought of you because I saw these little hats and these shoes actually, and I was like, they just looked like something you would have made. And I was like, I felt like a little bit of Robin was in Wales. That's what I
Mhm.
thought. But they got exactly the same kind of things, but yours are done better, I must say,
You
actually.
know what? I also watched the other day. They on I think it was on Amazon Prime or something, or maybe Disney. Oh, it was on the Disney Channel, which I have. I watched Return to Oz. Did you ever see that?
Oh, yes, that's quite scary, isn't it,
I haven't
actually?
seen it in years, and
Yeah,
I was kind of intrigued to look at it again.
I love that.
And I didn't remember or realize that Auntie M in that one is played by Piper Laurie, who just died over the weekend.
Oh gosh, yeah, you're right. She is.
She
She is in
doesn't
that.
have too much to do in the movie, actually. I think she's at just
Mm,
the beginning and the end,
she is. Yeah, you're right.
but anyway,
And what?
I just kind of wanted to watch it because I've read all the Oz books and like all those extra characters that you get in like the Oz tarot decks that you don't know where these characters come from. I
Well,
knew about 95% of them. So
don't you think, Robin, in the 80s, the Disney films at one point were a little bit quite dark for
mhm.
kids, really? Because at that same time, there was Watcher in the Woods. I don't know if you've ever seen that with Bette Davis in. And there was another one called Something Wicked This Way Comes. And
Mm.
then The Black Cauldron. Like really dark, aimed for kids, I think, as well.
Well,
Dark kind of film.
Return to Oz was pretty crazy. Like this, they didn't believe this little girl's wild stories, so they take her to
Mm.
this institution and leave her overnight to go through
Yeah,
electroshock therapy.
I
I
know.
mean, like, I think Disney would have been rolling in his grave about
Oh,
the concept behind that movie.
so scary.
I don't remember if it went that way in the story or not. I should reread it now,
I know.
but it was kind of fun to watch again. And
There's a
that,
few.
that introduced the robot or what TikTok, the robot.
I love TikTok and Jack. Jack was my
Well,
favorite.
that's what I brought. That's why I mentioned it because Jack
Yeah.
Pinhead. I thought, oh, Pinhead, here I am.
There's a
So
few people in chat, Robin. Shall I say
yeah,
hello to
I
them?
wanted to say,
There's
hey, Beth Aspasia
Hi
Rising
Beth.
and Naomi. I haven't seen Naomi in ages. We used to
Hi
be
Naomi.
tarot study group that I really miss, and I miss seeing her there. And
Oh,
maybe I should start another one or something.
hi
Oh,
Deanne.
and Thomas from Tarot Your Way, and
Hi
Antoinette
Thomas.
Tarot and Jewelry.
Oh, hi Tony.
She says, "Do you remember trap door, Ben? I don't.
Oh,
Don't you open that trap door?"
I think I do, Tony.
The only trap door I remember is the one to the basement in Evil Dead.
Yes, that's a good film, Robin. Although that's very gory.
That
Yeah.
was really weird too. I mean, that one grossed me out and freaked me out, even though it was supposed to be comical, but it was kind of like a cross between a horror
Ah,
movie and the Three Stooges or something.
yeah. And like there was Henrietta, wasn't she? This Evil Dead character in the cellar. Do you remember that?
I forgot
Like,
her name, but
oh, it's
yeah.
terrible. But it was good. Yeah. I do love horror.
I kind of like the follow-up one better. I don't know if it was it Evil Dead, not two, because two was sort of this
Oh,
one. There was a third one where they went through time to like the Middle Ages or something.
Army of Darkness.
Army of Darkness. Yeah, I kind
Yeah.
of like that one actually.
Yeah. A few people like that one, actually.
Naomi says, "Was it Feruza?" She said Fazula. I think it's Feruza.
It was Naomi, and actually the little girl in Oz played the girl in The Craft.
Yeah, she was
The
the
evil
bad,
one.
right? The evil one.
That was it. Yeah. I love The Craft. She's a good actress, she is actually.
Beth says Hocus Pocus is about as scary as she gets.
Yeah.
Although she did love The Coven on American Horror Story. See, I couldn't even watch the American Horror Story series, although I heard that they were kind of hit and miss. But the one that everybody talks about all the time, and maybe I should gird my loins and go back and watch it, is the one about the circus.
Oh, Freak Show, is it?
Show or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that one.
So I don't know. Maybe I should see that one.
Yeah. Hi, Heather.
I only could watch The Coven 3 times, actually, Beth says.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And Heather's here, Indigo Jaguar.
Hi,
Can't
Heather.
want to do think Robin and Ben.
Oh.
So anyway, we're here to sort of we're having a kind of a weird topic discussion because Ben's been doing different things with your channel. Actually, let's get into that a little bit because I know you changed your channel focus from strictly tarot to something else, and your channel has a new name now. It's not Beneficial Tarot anymore. What's it now?
It's called Ben Ryan. And the reason for that is because I wanted to get away initially from just having a tarot channel. And I did change it to Ben There Done That, but then it just didn't feel right. And I couldn't get right with it. So I thought, well, I took a break and I thought, well, I want to come back, but I want to do something that's all encompassing because I've really enjoyed my movies. That's another major hobby of mine. And I wanted to do stuff that I could include everything on. So I just thought, I'm just going to be myself and be Ben Ryan. And I just thought, I'll come back and do that. So that's what I'm doing. But
Something
so
to
that,
incorporate your other interests too.
yeah,
You had
because
mentioned to me in a previous discussion that maybe you'd invite me on and we'd have a talk about
yeah,
music,
yes, music as well. I
music
love,
in the 70s and 80s, because I was part of the music scene here in New York City. And so
yes.
I'm still waiting on that. If you still want to do that, I'm open to it.
Robin, you can come on a live anytime with me. I mean, my channel is very low numbers, so it would probably just be me and you at the moment. But
That's
I
fine.
would love to talk about music with you because it's not that I don't enjoy tarot, but as you know, I burnt out so badly with it
Mhm.
earlier part of this year. I just totally. This is why I'm doing a bit more decluttering because I did a load of decluttering this year. I mean, I got rid of over 300 decks, and yet still, I still feel I've got way too many. So I'm going through the decluttering process again because although I can't see the decks around me like I used to, they're stuck in cupboards, some of them still, and I've just found some more, and I was like, oh, I'm not
Well,
using
I
them.
think you told me, or no, you on your recent declutter video, I think you said that you had gotten into financial difficulties, and
Yeah,
before you knew it, over the course of a year or something, you were up to like 600 decks, and you just didn't know
yeah.
how it
I
got
was
out of control or how
I
it got
was so
away.
shocked. I mean, I shouldn't have been shocked because I mean, I could see the shelf was just full of them, but I got myself into a lot of debt, and I just thought, oh God, I mindlessly bought without thinking of the price really, which is you know, it's bad. So I thought to myself, well, I thought this has got to stop. I've got to stop spending. And I think I got a little bit of I got addicted to shopping as well. That was a thing. And I thought, wow, and I really needed to remove myself from everything because I thought I'd got into a right mess. But I did pay it back, all the debt back quite
That's
quickly when I started selling stuff. Um, and I just don't think I was in a great place with all the spending that I did. So, but it was a good lesson, Robin. I've got to say, I learned a lot through the process, and it makes you very careful about what you spend, um,
yeah.
and more considered.
I just wanted to welcome Jamie, who just popped in,
Oh,
and
hi, Jamie.
I think I think she's the only new one. So, yeah, so a month ago, maybe or something, I saw a tag online that I wanted to do. It was by a new channel I found called The Fool's Apprentice. And what is the name of the guy who runs it? Danny, or I can't remember his name now. But anyway, I would Benny. Benny. That's funny. Benny. So Benny has the Fool's Apprentice channel, and he did this tag, and it was weird because it was like 5 decks to save from a burning building or something. Okay, it's kind of an old tag, but he had a little different spin on it because he said he had trouble coming up with 5, but he came up with 10, and he was going to share the 5 because it was the premise behind this is you have your 10 favorite decks that you'd love to save from a burning building, but you can only
Mm,
save 5, and you can
yeah.
never replace them again. So it's as if there's like a worldwide apocalypse and there's no stores anymore that sell tarot or anything. I mean, this is
Mm,
for tarot collectors and tarot tube fans. I think this is when it's a real struggle. It's
yeah.
like it's like Sophie's Choice in a way. It's like, which child do you let go? It's like you got 10 decks.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
one
It is.
you cry waving goodbye to them as your building burns down, and you save your most precious 5 to run out of the house with.
Mm,
And I
mm,
managed to do it. But what interested me about the tag was not so much that it's your 5 favorite, but more about the thought process between eliminating 6 to 10.
yeah.
How what were the choices you made that
Mm,
made it like, okay, I have to save this one, but because of these reasons, I'm letting this one go. It didn't quite make it to the top 5.
Yeah,
That's kind of what I wanted to join that in with what we're doing today, the decluttering thing,
yeah,
because it's for you and for anyone who declutters, it's a decision-making process.
yes, it
And
is.
what makes it easy or difficult for you might
Yeah,
work for somebody else. But I'm intrigued by the aspects of each deck that you part with. How
yeah,
you what is the factor? What was the deciding factor that made it okay? I can let that go, or I have to let that go. And you've
yeah,
explained it pretty well in your decluttering thing.
yeah,
We didn't do the flip side of it, like why did you keep something? Why did
mm,
you choose in favor? Oh, because of that I kept it versus because of
yeah,
that I let it go.
yeah.
So for today, and you can play at home, but I think it will complicate matters in the chat. Um, we have 5 decks that we're decluttering or parting with, and then 5 that we thought about and we've decided to hold on to.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean you're holding on to them forever. Some of mine, they're kind
You
of going,
change, don't you?
they do change.
Mm,
And some of mine are going into like a purgatory box. It's like, not ready yet, and I might
yeah,
never be ready, but it's kind of borderline. And I've saved them from the fire. I've saved them
yeah.
from being sold off or whatever.
There's a
So,
few comments, Robin, in the thing. Shall I just highlight a couple?
okay.
Beth says, Ben, I think so much of the problem is getting addicted to the anticipation of getting something fun. Since 2016, the world gives us justification to look for fun, and I do agree with that 100%. I think I got addicted to having something in the post almost every day, and that's another thing. There's an addiction element to it. For me, there was anyway, of getting something, unwrapping it. And what I'd do, I would buy these decks and I would unwrap them, look at them, and then just put them on the shelf, and then they'd never get used.
Mm,
So that it wasn't so much, and it's not just tarot. It could be anything. It could be like I like collecting films at the moment. If I'm not careful, I have to keep checking in with myself. Are you making sure that you're watching these things? Because I didn't want to just keep accumulating. So I
do you
do.
declutter your DVDs too, or your films, or do you
Yeah,
keep?
I find it easier to declutter that kind of stuff, if I'm honest.
Mm,
As CDs as well, but I struggled with tarot for some reason. But it's the same feeling you get. It's just a package coming through the mail, or when you go shopping, it's
mhm.
that same. Oh, the thrill of the buy, isn't it? So I do agree with that. Um, Tony says purchasing a deck is addictive. Not going out, £20 on a treat. No takeaway this way. £20 on a long-term treat, and so on. Yeah,
Yeah, I have a little bit of, I don't want to call it an addiction, but I would say it is a habit forming kind of thing. For me, it's like I can't set foot out of the house without spending money. I
I
look,
know that feeling.
I,
Yeah,
luckily, blessedly, I don't have to spend a lot of money to feel satisfied. So it's like
yeah,
I go out and I buy a cappuccino or something, that'll do it. Or if I go to a stationery store and buy a pad or a pen or a greeting card or postcard, some little thing that will satiate it for me.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like it doesn't always have to be a tarot deck, but
No.
for some reason I feel like I can't go out of the house without coming home having had a reason to go out other than just
Mm,
taking the air. I don't know why
yeah.
that is.
No, I know exactly what you mean. Thomas Tarriaway says COVID did that with a lot of people who got checks too, Ben.
Yeah.
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 And Jamie says FOMO is really a thing, and it is easy to get caught up in the want of it all. The pandemic really played a point in that, I think, not just with tarot. Yeah, I totally agree, Jamie. And I think I certainly got caught up in FOMO. There's so many beautiful decks out there, and especially when you've got a channel, there was a part in the very early days where I felt like I got to keep up. I wanted to keep up with everything because I was trying to put videos out every day. I was putting pressure on myself to do it. And I just got caught up in it, and it's totally my fault. It's just one of those things that you learn not to put so much pressure on yourself, I think. And
Yeah.
the psychological effects of the pandemic linger on. Yeah, I think this pandemic has a lot to do with it because people didn't know what to do with themselves, did they?
Mm,
So
mm.
it was just so easy to go online and shop and for
Oh,
stuff.
this is interesting. Tom says, Four of Pentacles being the declutter card. I never thought of
Mm,
it that way, but I love adding new things to my mental index about card reading because I didn't tell you, I'm now currently teaching tarot to a couple of friends online.
yeah,
And it's so much fun, and I'm learning so much. I didn't realize that you learn by teaching because you think, oh, the teachers know it all, and they
yeah,
teach someone and spread their knowledge. But it's often quite the reverse. During the
mm,
process of teaching,
yeah,
though, at least the way I do it, people come up with insights, things they see in the card, and it's like mind blowing. It's like, I mean, my thing used to be, I think everybody should create their own tarot deck because it's a learning process going through
mm,
creation and like editing and choosing images and figuring out what should go and what shouldn't go and why.
yes,
There's a reason for everything. But now my thing is everybody should teach tarot
yeah,
because
yeah,
because when you communicate with other people and you see what they see in cards, like it's fun to see like their little light bulb. I don't mean to be dismissive, but like their little light bulbs go off when they look at cards for the first time. And I say,
yeah,
well, what do you see going on in this card?
yeah.
And
Isn't it fascinating, Robin, with new people though, what they see for the very first time, and it's like, oh,
they see things that I haven't seen, looking
I
at it
know.
thousands of times already. It's like,
Yeah,
and I went through the whole year of Jen Phoenix's class. She had a Sunday tarot play date where we did a
mm,
card at a time, and everybody in the chat contributed to what they saw in the card. And yet,
yeah,
I'm still finding new things
yeah,
through this teaching process and these new students. It's
yeah.
really stunning. So I love,
It
Thomas,
is.
that you said that, and I'm gonna remember that next time I get a panic.
Star that, Robin.
Yeah.
That's fabulous. Um, Jamie said as well, if we used the rule of thumb of not having used a deck in a year, I would get rid of every deck except one double layer drawer that I use all the time. And I agree with that, Jamie, because that's really helped me with my decluttering process. If I've not used a deck, and mine's about 8 months actually, it goes because I thought if not used it in 8 months, I'm never going to use it. And so I do agree with that. I didn't declutter, I just stopped buying it and took a break. And it's good to take a break because I didn't take a break. And that's good advice, Naomi. I totally agree with that. Oh,
And
hi,
Gerald
Gerald.
popped in, but he may have popped out, so he's going to be watching the playback.
No problem.
So let's see. Oh, Tony's listing decks that she's saving. We're not quite there yet. Oh, I want to say hi to Deanne. Deanne. Hey, Deanne, tell me, do I have permission to show the picture from the card you sent me? If not, I won't, but I won't show what the card says. I'll just show the photograph if it's all right. But if it's not, tell me and I'll just keep it to myself. I'm at the bottom here just to see if she says anything. There's all these people. It's just scrolling by.
Hi, Gomez.
Oh yeah, Gomez. Hello, Gomez. Oh, she says sure, share away. So I got this lovely card in the mail from Deanne. The other day she goes, "What's your address again?" I thought, well, I gave her my address. I thought, what is she sending me? And she sent me this little card, and I thought, oh, this was so nice. And it's kind of a thank you card, but it's
Oh,
a sweet little picture of her kids. And I thought, oh, this is just a beautiful little picture, aren't they? Aren't they,
oh, they're
Max?
cute, aren't they?
Yeah. So give them a little shout out online today. Oh, and I
Um,
want to change this window thing now that I'm looking at it. I want it to be bigger
but
because if
okay,
we're going to show some cards, which we are, we need to be able to see the cards.
yes.
So anyway, the idea behind this is we each chose 5 decks that we're decluttering, and we're going to tell you why. And then we chose 5, and actually, I don't even know if I have 5, but I'll work at it. That we decided to hold on to, or we're not decluttering. 5 that we're keeping, and the reasons why.
Yeah.
So,
Hi,
um,
Ramon.
the first one I'm going to go with is I have the Smith Tiny deck from Destiny. And
Oh,
this is a really beautiful, cute, kind of cartoony deck. And it's sort of like cartoon versions of the RWS, but they're done so well. The
mm,
colors are really beautiful.
they're nice, aren't
One of the reasons, well, some people didn't like the eyes in this because they're just kind of blacked out eyes. That didn't bother me. Um, the card stock is that weird kind of stiff matte card stock that everybody but me loves. And lately I've been getting more of those decks, even though it's not my favorite card stock at all. So anyway, that's one
they?
reason for me I don't like the card stock. The other thing is they came with this beautiful metallic red gilding. I don't want to call it gilding, edging, I should say, because it's not gold. It's metallic red on the edges. But I didn't, it was glitzy, but it felt like unnecessary and didn't feel like it fit the deck. And
Mm,
I'm not really big on edging. There's only 1 or 2 decks that have a real antique classical look, like museum art, that I like
yeah.
building on because it's like cards in gold frames. I love that. But somehow this one felt off to me. So I sanded them off the edges. So I'm letting go of this deck,
Yeah.
um, partially because of the card stock, partially because I never pull it off my shelf to use it. And if you're not going to
Mm.
use it, why keep it?
And yeah.
But another thing is it what does freak me out is not the big black eyes, but there is some nudity as in the RWS, but it's like the figures in this are like children. And in fact, maybe I won't even pull and show you that card. It's like when cards that look like children have titties and genitalia on them, it creeps me out.
Yeah. I know
And
what you mean.
just like I know it's kind of all in fun and they're cartoons and they're not really children, but they look like children.
Yeah.
There's something about that that
Mm, mm.
I don't know. So
No.
for me, that's a declutter deck, and those are my reasons why I'm letting this deck go. Although I don't know if anybody's going to want it, even though it's probably out of print now, because I sanded off the metal edging. But maybe somebody like me wants this deck but doesn't like metal
The
edging.
edging either. Some people don't like the edging though, do they? You know. Hi, Candy. A couple of people have come in, Robin. Candy's
And
come in, and Ramon's come in. Hi, Ramon.
oh, and Zane,
And Zane. Hi, Zane.
um,
Sorry. To
so do you have
interrupt you.
a declutter deck
I
that you can
do.
compare?
So I've been decluttering all week, but I've chose 5 to discuss with you. So I'll go for this one. So I'm decluttering the Wheel of the Year tarot, which I love the imagery on this tarot deck.
Mhm.
But the reason I'm decluttering it is I'm so distracted by these different languages around
Mm,
the side, and I much more prefer borderless cards because of this. But I really love the imagery on this, and if this had been a borderless deck, I would have kept it.
mm,
But I just can't. It distracts me far too much. The imagery does. But I mean, look at the backs. I think the backs are lovely,
mhm.
lovely. But the other thing I don't really like about this is the card stock. I'm not overly keen on Los Scarabeo's cardstock. And I'm a bit of a cardstock snob, I'm not going to lie, Robin, because I do like indie decks because I love the matte finish on indie decks, and I know they're a bit more expensive, but with mass market, sometimes the
See,
cards.
something for everybody because I like low Scarabeo card stock and you
A lot
don't.
of people do, yeah. But yeah, so that's one really, and I can't stand flimsy tuck boxes.
Yeah, I don't like those either.
So that's going against it. So there was about 3 things going against this.
You gave me something there to think about too. Modding decks. Like I have modded a few decks where it's like, oh, I don't like that extra languages, or I don't like the border, and I've trimmed them off, or I've edged them, and
Yeah,
it's weird. I think, oh, it's going to make it more usable, and it does for about 2 readings, and
yeah,
I see it on my shelf, and I think, ooh, I kind of defiled it. I mean, it's like I made it mine. I made it easier for me to use, but it isn't
yeah.
the way it was published or intended, and now it feels deformed or wrong or something.
I did,
I know
yeah,
it's in my head. It should be
yeah.
like, yeah, you bought it, do whatever you want with it. But for me, it's like, oh, I should have let if I
Well,
didn't like the
yeah,
languages on there, why did I buy it to begin with? Or if I didn't like the
no,
edging, why did I buy that deck? I should have passed it by,
I've done that though when I've modified a deck, and I have not done it very good. And I've tried because I've bought the like cutters and everything. I still couldn't do it very well, and I just couldn't stand the feel of it in my hand. Felt jagged, the edges felt, and I just thought, oh, this is going to annoy me. Hi, Kristen. So yeah, I know what you mean, Robin. I'm a bit like that. If I modify a deck, I don't use it, funnily enough, because I feel like I've ruined it.
And then is it harder to pass on or sell because you've already modified it in a way that maybe somebody else doesn't want,
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? And I thought, well, I'm just not very good at modifying either, Robin, and I can't do it. I'm not very doesn't have a very great craft. So
My
yeah.
next one is the Dream Keepers Tarot, which I just decided about this morning. I have two versions.
Okay.
I have the first edition and I have the mass market one.
Yeah, yeah,
And some people may prefer the first edition. I'm trying to see how much it's worth online or how much I want to charge, because this is mostly about decluttering for me. It's not about making money. But I had this in a metal tin and I left the box on my shelf and it got a little bit sort of like warped and weird. It's like a bad tuck box or whatever. And I don't even know if I don't think I can pull the cards out. I had so much trouble getting the back in. It's really tight. But
yeah,
they're linen cards and they do have a different back design on them than the mass market one.
yeah,
So, they're beautiful, surrealistic kind of paintings, or I don't even know if it's collage or painting or what, but they're beautiful, but they're weird. And it's like I look at them and I don't know how to read them or interpret the images. And I mean, I could read them just from the labels, but somehow the imagery is just so strange it befuddles me.
yeah,
And it's like, so I don't grab for them. And I've got 2 versions too. I actually sort of like, I mean, these are linen and I love linen stock.
yeah,
The other ones, the mass market ones are, I think they're glossy and they're like little sort of stiffer card. And the labels look a little bit different at the bottom. I think they're
yeah,
easier to read. And also it comes in a big, nice box that has a beautiful big guidebook in it. But I'm not big on guidebooks. But anyway,
same.
I decided I'm going to let this one go, and I may end up letting the other one go. But for now, I'm going to hold on to it because the guidebook looks so intensive that I just might read it, and
Yeah,
maybe I'll get
yeah.
something out of it by. So for now, I'm holding on to it, but it may go into the purgatory box. So I
Well,
don't
that's
know.
interesting, Robin, because I've just literally put that on eBay and I have never used it.
This one?
Not it's the mass market one I've got, but I just haven't used it.
Yeah.
and it's actually still in its cellophane. And I've had it months, and I just thought I loved the imagery, and it's a beautiful looking deck, but I just know I'm never going to use it. And if I haven't used it by now, you know, it's one of them. So
See,
I understand that.
that's a concept that you and Gerald share that I can't fathom it. It's like if I get a deck, the minute I come in the door, I rip the cellophane off, or if it comes in the mail, I tear it out of the box and I look at it. I want to know that all the cards are there. It's not missing any, or they aren't misprinted or anything. So I can't wait. Even I don't generally sit right down and do a reading with it, but I do account to make sure that all the contents are there and are what they're supposed to be. You know, I don't have duplicates of cards or cards missing or
Yeah.
misprinted or anything. And I don't think I could go with keeping something in shrink wrap for months and not touching it. I don't know how you do it.
Just seeing a comment by Thomas. He says, re-gift to someone if you've modified a deck. Just an idea. That's true. And Jamie says, with declutter for me, I end up giving them away now. The reselling of them makes me personally just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I don't do it anymore. Yeah, I mean, I do resell mine simply because I need the money.
Well, I was thinking about that too. I thought, well, I don't need a lot. Maybe I'll charge $5 or something, but I have to charge 15 because it costs me 10 to ship.
I know.
You know,
It's the
and if I
shipping that's the
send it
problem.
from Europe, I don't. It's
Yeah.
probably more than that.
Yeah.
No.
I know. Although I do love gifting decks when I can, because you know, if it makes someone else happy and they're going to use it, then that's
Yeah. Well, if any of you see any of these decks that you're
this
intrigued
is a
by,
deck.
get in touch with me. Sorry, what?
Sorry, Robin, you broke up, Ben.
Oh,
What were you saying then?
I was saying if anybody likes any of these that they're interested in, get in touch with me and we'll negotiate whatever. I'm less inclined to want to go through mailing it abroad because of filling out extra forms and stuff. It's sort of easier for me here if I can just get the flat rate box that's under $10. I don't know if those work outside the US or not, probably not. But here we have these post boxes that for $9.80 or something like that, whatever you put in the box is that it's a flat fee. So I know I'm not going to have to pay more than $10 to ship it. And it's not fancy packing. I just put it in the box and glue it shut.
Tony says $34 to ship to the UK with tracking, Robin. So that's quite a lot, isn't it? Another deck that I wanted to declutter, and I've struggled with this, but I can't. So it's this deck Oracle deck by Doreen Virtue, and I know Doreen's not behind these decks anymore, and it bothers me. So when I pick it up, I'm like, the creator's not invested in this, and it taints it slightly for me, and I know it shouldn't. But and I was looking through these, and yeah, I guess it's a deck that I loved when I bought it, but you know, like you change your mind sometimes, don't you, when you go back to things?
Yeah. What is it about, or what is it? What's it called?
It's called the Ascended Masters Oracle.
Oh, yeah.
Cards. And I love Hay House stuff. I do like, you know, their stuff, but I don't know. I came back to this the other day, and I just didn't quite work for me.
You know when that deck came out?
Oh gosh, I think it was it the early 2000s? Or it's either the late 2000s and the early 2010s. It doesn't say. Should say, shouldn't it?
Because
2007.
I feel like I recall when I first visited esoteric or metaphysical stores, I saw images of the Ascended Masters. I don't know if it was on book covers or cassettes or card decks or something. And they really kind of intrigued me, even though I'm not into that kind of thing, but there's a sort of a whole mystique around it. As to Doreen Virtue, I've always felt awkward or uncomfortable with her. And I don't know anything about her, but I feel like I saw her in videos or something, and it was filmed in like pale whites and blues and gauzy focus, and it had this sort of like self-help cult uh what's it called, like the Sunday religious shows
Mm.
that are on TV.
I know what you mean, Robin. And she was everywhere, wasn't she, at one point?
There
I
was
mean,
something about it that just felt like new age culty to me, and
mm,
I'm not comfortable with any kind of mob mentality for good or bad or whatever purpose. And it just kind of like, ooh,
yeah, I know what
makes
you.
feel mm, not
I
right.
know there's something that I just feel. Yeah, I feel very similar. I just can't get into those decks of hers really now. I used to love them back in the early 2000s when she did fairy and angel decks and stuff like that. I thought they were great cards, but yeah, I just can't. Just feel slightly tainted. I dislike the doorway uh,
Doorway vignettes. I
vignettes.
guess it's sort of like in the image when someone is
Yes,
pictured in a doorway. I don't know if that's the deck
yeah.
like that or not. Deanne says
Something.
2022 it was
Oh yeah,
$26 last time. Oh,
it's so expensive, especially for the
still,
UK.
I've sent stuff to Simon before and Sandra, and I think it was like 23 at the time or something for some stupid little deck. It's like I don't
I
know, that's
know,
like a lot to me, and I'm sure it's more the more you send. But
100%.
Red Wing never liked Dorian Virtue.
No, no. I think, and like Beth says there, when she left Harrow, she really went after everyone. That's not cool. If you find a different direction, great, but don't burn the witches.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Hmm.
yeah.
Um.
So
Oh,
yeah,
so where were we? You had your second one, or you did
second,
you
yeah,
say did you say why you didn't you had trouble with that one, or was
yeah. It's the Dorian Virtue thing, I
it
think, really, and I kind of went off the deck itself anyway. So.
this one? This is one I just like the last one I bought like a week ago, and
Oh, oh,
I
do
opened
tell.
it up and I looked at it, and I'm ready to let it go. It's the
Sweet.
Tarot of Tales and Legends.
Oh, really?
I
Yeah,
really love late 18th or late 19th century, the late 1800s illustration style of like fairy tale books for by illustrators of that time. And
yeah,
um, Pixie stuff is almost like that. She's just a little bit later, and it's not quite as refined.
yeah.
You have like Aubrey Beardsley, you've got Kate
Mm,
Greenaway, you've got the pre-Raphaelites and Art Nouveau and all that stuff. So I have several decks. I have the Harmonious Tarot which is the art of Walter Crane, and then I
yeah.
have the Edmund Dulac deck, which is sort of like
Oh,
Thousand
yes.
Arabian Nights, 1001
Yeah,
fairy tale style or whatever.
I
And
know.
there are a few like that. They're all low scarabeo, and usually low scarabeo when they do an art deck, they hire a new artist to emulate the style of a famous artist. But
Yeah,
these they didn't because they're so old, they're out of copyright. So it was okay, I guess, for them to compile and issue these. And I have this guy, the guy that did these is H.W. Henry J. Ford, H.J. Ford, and I've always loved his illustration style because Andrew Lang did a series of fairy tale books, the Crimson Fairy book, the Red Fairy book, the Yellow Fairy book, the Green Fairy book, the Olive Fairy book, the Violet.
yeah,
I mean, there's a whole rainbow of these things, and they're collected stories from all cultures all over the world. I
yeah,
still haven't read them all, but I have all the books in paperback, and they're filled with his illustrations. And he does the most exquisite line work. But
yeah,
but each one usually has like a frontispiece or plate in the front in color. It's like a color painting. And I don't think his paintings are as nice. I don't really. I mean, they're beautiful,
Okay.
but I
Yeah.
just don't like. And actually, this new Lo Scarabeo thing, they're doing all English now. You see at the top
Oh, yeah.
labels.
Does it
Um,
translate well into tarot,
what's
Robin, that does it
no,
translate well?
no,
No.
they're just kind. It feels like they're randomly assigned.
Mm,
That's a big issue.
yeah,
For me, there's like it's the color palette, and there's no sort of outlines to the images. They're
no,
paintings, and so they get a little muddy for me. Even though they're colorful, it's kind of hard to make out the detail in the imagery. And actually, the Dulac tarot is a little bit like that too, but it's a
yeah.
little bit more distinguishable than this one. And it's just
I must admit, I don't really get the association very well with those, Robin, I have to
no,
say.
no, not at all. Three of Swords, come on, you know. But
Sorry, I've just seen a comment by Jamie. She says it looks like the illustrated kids' Bible, kids'
yeah,
Bible art. It
well,
does, doesn't it?
I mean, and they're beautiful paintings. It's beautiful artwork, but
Yeah,
here, Four of Swords. He's so what? He's resting under a tree. I mean, but there's just if this was all his, if this was all his line drawings,
mm,
I would keep this. I would
yeah,
treasure it. And I don't have them handy. If I could pull one of those fairy books off the shelf and show you, I mean, it's sort of like if you've ever seen the black and white version of Pixie's art, or if you have seen Aubrey Beardsley illustrations.
mm,
It's that kind of beautiful detailing, but somehow the coloring in these just kind of muddies the art for me. And it's weird because I say it's not my favorite color palette, and you think
no,
all the colors are there. What do you mean it's not your favorite palette? There's just something about the combination that are just kind of like, yeah, it's colorful, but they're sort of garish and they don't please me somehow. I don't know. So this
no.
one,
It's interesting though, Robin, isn't it? I love this because it's interesting to see what you don't like in decks, or that kind of what put off, because everybody's different, aren't they?
yeah, and I
Um,
love classical art or classic art, but somehow this just isn't doing it for me.
yeah,
So, but it's one. This was one of those decks. Sometimes I will take a gamble on a $20 deck. It's like, oh, I'm bored. I want to see something new. It's
yeah,
like, well, is it $20 worth of entertainment for me to just like leaf through the cards and look at the pictures once or
yeah,
twice?
yeah,
Sort of like a trip. Well, I'd spend that much if I went to a museum and looked at all the paintings on the walls.
yeah,
So sometimes it is worth it to me.
yeah.
And so I feel like, well, I got my money's worth already out of this. I looked at all the images and I decided not
Yeah.
useful for me. It's just
Well,
art card.
you you say an interesting thing there, because one of the things that initially stopped me from selling decks was, oh God, am I going to get the money back that I spent on this? Because I'm just like, I've got all these decks that I'm giving that I just want to get rid of. And I think you can't think too much about the money side of it unless but for me, if I kept thinking about the money side of it, I wouldn't have got rid of stuff. Um, and that was another thing that I struggled with at first, was, not getting the value of the decks back. But I think that's more with mass market decks, isn't it? You don't get the value of the money back.
Yeah.
Non
Tough
scary
stuff.
3 of swords I've ever seen. It's true. Yeah,
Yep. Yeah.
it's true.
Or four. Was it Four of Swords or Three of Swords? I forgot.
I think
It,
it was, yeah, it was the 5 of swords. I thought it looked very sweet. And I was like, that's definitely not the 5 of
the
swords, is
one
it?
with the guy under the tree, it would have made more sense for it to be the Four of Swords, but maybe it was the three. But um,
Mm.
I don't know. Oh, Chris is here. Hey.
Hi, Chris.
Um, so
Robin has a question. Do you have is it the Baruch?
the
I
Baroque
can't,
tarot,
sorry, I
saw.
can't speak. I can't pronounce
I
these
don't
things.
have it. I don't know or remember it. Is that one of the Baba Studio? decks?
No, I think I can't remember it either.
I don't know.
Can't remember.
Um, so why don't you go to your third deck?
Okay, so I bought this because I love retro 70s stuff. I just like the look of a retro deck. So I thought this was very 70s. It felt very out there. I thought, oh, this looks quite 70s. And then I just I didn't use it, Robin, again. So I just thought, wow, this is kind of psychedelic.
You know, you
Um,
showed that, and I liked it. I kind of fell
did
in love
you?
with it because it sort of reminds me a little bit of Peter Max style art from the late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah, it's very
Um,
rich. And I thought, oh, I like this, but I don't ever pick it up. And I think that the size of the cards are really big. So to shuffle, it's a bit awkward. And the other thing I thought, well, I've got my favorite 70s deck. And I thought, I'm going to use that so much more than I use this. So I thought I'm going to declutter this because, and the one I'm talking about, which I absolutely love,
Wait, does that one have edging?
yes, it does.
Yeah. See, that
Gold edge.
that
That
doesn't
would,
go for me, that shiny gold with that 60s style art.
mm,
Also, the backs, I think I didn't like the backs. Wait, let me
no,
see the backs.
yeah, the backs.
Yeah, I hate
They're
those.
not reversible, which
I don't like those.
never.
But
You don't like it.
I hate the card size too, but I love the
No,
colors and the images. So
it's too big, isn't it? But I like this is the one that I do absolutely adore, and I always pick this up. So I compared the two, and I thought, well, out of the two, I'd rather have the Morgan Greer, and I'm not using this, so it just seemed the right thing to declutter.
yeah,
I
Jamie
love
has an original Peter Max in her dining room, and she says that that deck is reminiscent of Peter's work.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was that one, but it's very well made. It's just yeah. I think sometimes I like if I've got too many, I compare ones that are similar, and I'll go with the one that I use more basically.
Okay. The next one, actually, I'm going to do this one, and I had six, but I was going to limit it to five.
Oh, it's okay. Go for it.
This is one of those decks that I bought for all the wrong reasons. Again, it was like, I'm bored, I want something new to look at, it's cheap, I'm buying it. So I
Yeah,
looked at it and I thought, oh, it's called the Gentle Thrills Tarot, and it does, I do like two-part boxes, so that's nice. But I don't like the, excuse me, the size of these cards. And it's like they're like oracle size cards. I'm not thrilled about the backs either.
mm,
There are kind of more substantial card, you know, they're that stiffer cardstock, but
yeah,
they're sort of like, I guess they're glossy, and they are bright colors, and they're wild and
yeah,
crazy kind of images. It's more of a pippish kind of a deck. And I bought it because I thought, oh, isn't that bright and colorful? It's like that'll cheer me up. And it's got silly, goofy looking faces, and they're a little different with blue skin and weird colors. And it's like, oh, it's such a cheerful, colorful deck. And I looked at it and never used it.
no, I know.
And it's like, you know, now like some of the cards even just look downright ugly to me. It's like, okay, well, this kind of gives me a laugh because of the attitude of it, but you know, it's just,
I
it's
know.
not for me.
Can I ask, Robin, do you keep decks that you think you don't use, but they're beautiful to look through, and you like to look through them every now and again, and the ones that you wouldn't get rid of?
I do have a few of those. I
Yeah.
have actually an Oracle deck like that where the art is so amazing, but it reads like shit. It's
Yeah.
like you can't read with it, you know,
No.
but
Have you
it's,
ever had a deck and you've thought to yourself, that deck's a bitch?
yeah.
'Cause just the personality of the deck, you know. God, yeah. I mean, I've had decks like where I've thought, oh, this is a bit of a bitch. I'm not going to read with that one. Um, So another one that I wanted to get rid of, and I'm sorry, Robin, I've got oracles here a little bit as well, but
That's fine.
it's this one, the Dreamscape Oracle, and I bought this on the basis that I
Is
love.
that Ethereal Visions? No.
No, but it's the guy that made. It's the
Artist.
same one that made the tarot, Ethereal Visions tarot, which I absolutely love. I love it so much, that deck. And I thought, oh well, I'm going to buy the Oracle because I love the art. I loved everything about it, but I never use this because I think it's kind of, with Oracle decks, they're kind of new systems, aren't they? And I look through this, I get it out, and I look through it, and I just I can't work with uh
The
the
font?
name, yeah, the names really. I feel like I don't understand. It's not enough for me to kind
Uh,
of get an intuitive hit or anything on it, or you
yeah.
know. So it's beautiful, and I've kept this simply because it's really pretty to look at. But I thought, well, I've got the Ethereal Visions, which I much prefer. Oh,
Yeah.
hi, Jamie.
Oh, it's funny. Sometimes I see decks. This sounds really bizarre. Sometimes decks are too pretty for me. Have you ever had that happen where like a deck is just so beautiful, so gorgeous, so perfect? It's too perfect. It's like it's
Makes
too
me feel like shit.
glamorous, it's too
I know.
sexy, it's too powerful, it's too, oh my goodness, there's
Yeah,
can't get more perfect. And
it's a
that's
mean girl deck or something like
kind
that.
of what that's like with me. I mean, sometimes I like it more if a deck has more character and stylized than if it's like perfectly rendered. Now, the issue that I had, what's his name? Matthew something, isn't
Matt
it?
Hughes. Is it Matt Hughes?
Uh,
Yeah, Matt Hughes.
Matt Hughes. Okay.
Yeah.
I rammed them together and made it Matthew. So anyway, Matt Hughes, um, I love like I said, I think it's too beautiful and too perfect for me. But it's funny because I love Art Nouveau, and that's very Art Nouveau. It's just he's doing it in contemporary timeline, but he could readily fit into the late 1800s in doing that.
Yeah.
But I don't like his stripped down coloring. It's like even
No.
he's added the gold foiling and stuff, which is a little razzle dazzle.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like that, sometimes I don't. But it's like it feels washed out to me. It's all like pale blues and grays or something. It's like,
Mm,
where's the reds and greens? And it's like I
yeah.
feel like there's palette missing in his decks that I desire.
Well, I tell you one thing I'm struggling with at the moment with these kind of things is, I mean, you're right, it's very razzle dazzle, but the colouring. But sometimes you have these decks. I've got loads that I just like, I think are pretty to look at. But
Mhm.
I'm thinking to myself, I don't use them, and I'm
Mhm.
I'm 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 in conflict with myself because I'm thinking, well, I'm not using them. They're taking up space. Do I get rid of them? And I'm struggling with that a little bit at the moment,
Yeah.
if I'm honest, because I don't quite know what to do
I
with those
think
kind of
those
things.
are what do you call them when you put it in the way
Purgatory.
purgatory. I was going
Yeah,
to say the Paraguay box,
yeah.
the purgatory box.
I know what you mean.
The South America, the Paraguay box.
Yeah, that's what you
Oh,
call it down there.
um, what's Chris say here? I got one of the Ethereal Visions purely because it was the Luna edition, and Luna is one of my dog's names.
Oh, well, why not, Chris?
There
Why
you
not?
go. I mean,
Yeah.
all strokes for different folks, and you don't always need a reason.
But this is the thing, I mean, I've bought decks before where based purely because I like the back of the cards, I've done that before.
I'm not sure what Kristen means here. It wasn't Luna-y enough. What does that mean? She wanted more of a moon aspect? I don't know what that means. I'm not sure what the Luna version is. I just thought it was more foil or glitz or glamour or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
More
but
moony.
you like the ethereal visions.
Well, this is the other thing. I love the ethereal visions, but I never use it, Robin.
Hmm.
So that's another. I saw it in the drawer the other day, and I thought, Oh, do I keep this or I'm not
Oh,
sure. This is something I'm working on. Care Bear
Thomas
deck.
was talking about that other deck you
Oh
had.
yeah, it
Yeah.
is actually very Care Bearish. Yeah, it's that vintage. That vintage. I
Yeah.
like a bit of vintage, me, Robin. That's the trouble. I like vintage stuff.
Well, here's another note here. My declutter pile is quite easy. RWS, RWS before, RWS after, RWS revisions, and RWS vice versa. You get the picture. Well, my deck, my next one, I was thinking about that. I have maybe like 2 dozen variations on the RWS. Well, I showed you the deck's tiny one earlier.
Yeah.
I got this one. I was intrigued by it. It's the International Icon Tarot. I don't know if you've ever heard of this or not. What it is they take her illustrations, but it's like that little diagram style that
Oh
you
yeah.
know signboard out of,
Yeah.
So there's something about it I like, that sort of minimalist style
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
But well, I don't like the coloring of the backs. It's a yellow sun, but it's this really weak, pale
Moon.
yellow, and the blue is kind of a gray blue. But I do sort of like them still. But it's like I have so many RWS decks, I never reach for them.
No, I know.
And looking at it now, well, no, see, I hit a card. I don't like the coloring in that one.
No,
So,
no, I know what you mean, Robin.
and there, uh, so
Yeah.
I mean, I hit 2 cards there at the beginning, the Fool and the Magician. I thought, gee, maybe I should hold on to this. I like those.
Yeah.
But if there are cards in the deck that keep me from using it, you know, and I never reach for it, then what
Well,
am
you
I
can
doing with it?
you could frame the ones you like and then just get rid of the rest, couldn't you? I guess.
I don't think that'd work for me either, because then
No.
I'd always be thinking about the cards I'm missing and
Yeah. You want the
remembering
full
them
set.
thinking they were better than they really were, but I don't
Yeah.
have them to look at and say, oh, look at this. That horrible pink with that yellow and green. It's just like, who chose the colors combination?
No.
This one's all right for me,
Uh,
except figure's a little pale blue, but
Chris says the back of those look like a pound shop deviant.
like a what?
A pound shop deviant. We have pound shops here where they're like really cheap stuff. So
Oh,
he's saying it looks like something like a deviant moon, a knockoff. He's saying, I
like a
think.
dollar store here. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be dollar store where you are.
I mean, I love the idea of it, the concept of like stripped down minimalist version.
I do like
You
minimal
know,
stuff
if you
too.
know pixies are, I mean, it's so obvious what they are,
Mm,
but it's one of those things that just like I don't never use this thing. And actually, it kind of reminds me also of the what was that other deck that you and I both got? The
oh, I know which one you mean.
disassemble tarot
Disassembled. Yeah.
that just shows all the separate symbols, kind of.
Yeah.
Now, this makes me think maybe I should keep this in case somehow I ever want to use it with the disassembled. But I think the
Yeah.
better option would be to let them both go. Because I never use the disassembled either.
It's
I,
a process, though, isn't it, that you go through with these
I
things?
mostly got that one as a kind of a learning tool to
Me
learn
too.
about the symbols. But it's like I can't read with it because the symbols aren't organized. They're just strewn on
Robin,
the
that's
card.
exactly what happened to me, and I got rid of that one ages ago. But I felt the same. I was like, I love this idea. This is going to teach me loads. Did I use it? I didn't use it. And I felt the same. I felt like it was in too much disarray.
Yeah.
But it's a great learning tool for people, though, that deck is, I have to say.
It's a good idea. I think the book is maybe better than the deck in a way.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes that's the case, isn't it? Oh, bye, Rolf. Thank you for.
Who left?
Rolf.
Oh, I didn't see them come in.
No, I didn't. Sorry, Rob. I think he was listening.
So that's 5 for me. I have another one, but and you have a fifth
I
deck?
do, and I feel like people are going to hate me for this, but it's only because I can't get on with the cardstock, and I love the artist, but there's a couple of things. So it's the Encore Tarot by Cherry,
Mark Kelly. Yeah.
and
I
I,
don't
I
think you can't let what other people think.
no, you
And
can't, and I don't care anymore, Robin.
yeah.
I've got to that point. So um, so I just don't like the shininess of it.
Mhm.
I don't like shiny cardstock, and it just puts me off. And I loved the images, but then the borders, I thought, oh, this would have been so nice without the borders and non-shiny cardstock. And funny enough, I bought 2 of his decks at the time I bought this, and the other one is borderless and is matte cardstock, so that was perfect. But I just couldn't get on with the shiny cardstock, really, and I feel bad to say that, but yeah, I just didn't work for me. I think with all the decks I had, you do kind of get to what you like, don't you?
You know, it's funny, the Cat Black Golden Tarot. I don't know if you have that or if you know that one. That came
Uh,
out in a glossy version and a matte version, and I had the matte one first.
yes,
I ended up trading it to Chris. I can't think of his last. Chris Yao
yeah, I remember you telling
had
me
the
this.
glossy one, and I like
Yeah,
the glossy one better. There, it's like it depends on the deck. It's like generally speaking, I prefer a semi sheen. I don't
yeah,
like matte, and I don't like super glossy. But that one worked because it's a collage deck of medieval art that is
yeah,
like paintings you would see on a museum wall at the Met or something. And it's got gilt edges, and the gilt works for me because you have
yeah,
fancy gold frames in the Met Museum on the wall, and all those paintings are coated in varnish.
yeah.
So the gloss works for me there too, you know?
See, we differ on that because I know exactly which one you mean, and I prefer the matte
Hmm.
feel on that one.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying because I know you like your art galleries and stuff, don't you?
Yeah.
So I can understand that. Um,
And Chris is saying he prefers the glossy Marielle. He feels like the art pops
oh,
more,
really,
more
Chris?
vibrant.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Interesting, isn't it? Everyone's different, aren't they?
So Naomi says, so after the declutter, how will you both critique when purchasing in the future?
Oh, that's such a good question, Naomi. And so I mindlessly bought. I'm not going to lie about that. I did. Um, and what I do now is if I see a deck, I don't immediately purchase it. I do my investigation first. So I'd like to see the cards, um, find out about the card stock, see if there's any decks in my collection that I've got that are similar. Do I really need it?
Mm.
So I'm very much more considered about my purchases these days. Before I buy them, and I do think it's important to investigate a deck um, before you buy, just to make sure that you're not disappointed really when you get it. How
Mm.
about you, Robin? What's your thoughts?
Well, I over the first year, I think I did the same thing as you. I had a channel and I
Yeah,
was doing walkthroughs, and I felt like I need to have new decks all the time for a new product, for new content from my
yeah,
channel.
yeah,
And I got to the point where I wasn't buying decks for me, I was buying them for my audience. And they weren't even decks I particularly liked or wanted. I was just buying them so I'd have some content to share.
yeah.
Then I just had to like rethink my channel. It's like, why are you buying this? Like, other people might enjoy seeing a walkthrough, but they can look elsewhere for that. You don't need to own these decks. And it's not like the companies are giving them to you to review.
No, I know, I know.
It was getting out of control. And the big thing for me is I might have a larger collection. I shouldn't say that if I had more real estate. I live in a really tiny studio apartment, and you can tell by looking behind me, it is really, there's no space for anything. In front of
Yeah.
me, I have shelves and they're overflowing. And it's like I sleep in a twin bed, and my bed I share with
Yeah.
trays, stacks of decks on trays, which is crazy. It's like I look like a hoarder, you
Yeah.
know, and it's because I don't have storage room on my walls or shelves to store these decks. So it's like ideally I should never buy another new deck unless I get rid of a deck to make space for a deck.
Do you
And
know what though?
losing ground there because
It's hard. I think, and I was very conscious when I did this. I don't want to come across like I'm trying to tell, like, oh, you've got to declutter, folks, because it's better for you. It's not that at all. I mean, if I had a more space, and I'm sure you're the same, Robin, I'd love, and I had the money, and I didn't get into debt like I did. I would have been fine with a room full of decks, if I'd got the space for it. Oh, hi, Kelly. But I just don't have the space for it, and
yeah.
I can't stand, for me, too much visual pollution. But I know there's people out there who have massive collections, and I love to watch videos and see how happy people are with their collections. I think that's amazing. But the reason I was doing the decluttering videos as well is because it actually helped me with my own process of wanting to declutter and talking it through. It felt good for me to do. It just felt easier to declutter in that way.
Mhm.
But I was very conscious, Robin, and I think we spoke about this, didn't we? I said, the very first time I did a declutter video, I felt like I felt awkward doing it because I was worried what people might think at the time, and I was like, oh, are people going to think that I'm trying to tell them you need to declutter? Because I wasn't trying to do that. I was literally just trying to, you know, do it for myself, my own process really, and understand why I'd got into such a mess with it in the first place, I guess.
There's so
That
much
doesn't mean that everybody's like that.
misunderstanding online about that.
Mm,
People think you're being
there is a
critical of
misunderstanding.
others, and it's
Yeah,
not about that at all. They
it's
get really
not.
defensive about it, and
Yeah,
that's their own issues.
yeah.
It's not
I
that.
did feel like some people got defensive about it, and it was no way intended to get people's backs up. It was just that I felt like I just wanted to declutter for my own self. And I've gone on to buy loads of DVDs and stuff like that, but that's more manageable for me because they're
Uh,
cheaper. I can get rid of them quicker. But it was so easy for me to get into such a mess, and it was my own fault. I take total responsibility for that. But
well,
it's
I was in a state where I was buying maybe 3, 4 decks a month, something like that,
yeah,
maybe as many
I
as 6.
yeah.
Now it's like, my God, I got it down to like 1 a month, and now it's like sometimes it's
Mm.
2 or 3 months passes and I
Yeah,
don't buy a deck. This summer I kind of pigged out. I actually, and well, partially it's because a lot of the stuff that's coming out just doesn't appeal to me. It's like if I see a really eclectic new deck that's like really unusual style or something different that sparks my inspiration, what I'll
yeah,
do is I'll look at the walkthrough on somebody's channel, and then I'll think about it. And if it keeps tugging at me, pulling me back, I'll look
yeah,
at the walkthrough 2 or
yeah,
3 times. And if I've watched the walkthrough 3 times and I still can't get it out of my head, I
mm,
try to like give it a few days, but sometimes I can't do that. And if I
yeah,
get to that stage and it's affordable, I just think, okay,
yeah,
you're not going to let this go. Go ahead and get it.
yeah,
But keep in mind that it might just be sort of like a crush. You
yeah.
have a crush on this deck.
It's the
It's not,
FOMO. Yeah,
and when you
yeah,
get it, be prepared. You might not like it, and you might let it go. Can you afford to do that? Can
yeah.
you
I mean,
afford the honeymoon
my
success?
I think my thing is, buy whatever you want, but just be mindful about being able to afford stuff. Don't get into a mess because I know that I got into a mess and it was awful. And it's your mental health, isn't it, at the end of the day? And you think, oh God, I've got into a mess. How am I going to get out of it? Um, but I think people should buy whatever they want to buy. No one's trying to tell anybody, you know, don't buy all this and all that. If you enjoy it, do whatever you want. But it was just, I got to that point for me where it was like, because I was buying loads, like you, Robin, like three, four, five a week, and now this year I can count on one hand.
Well, this summer, I hadn't bought any decks for like 2 or 3 months. And then I found an interesting one on um, Etsy, and the vendor had like several other decks that were also interesting. And they were like $46. But I mean, they were being shipped from Turkey, but still, I don't remember whether that included shipping or not. But anyway, that seemed like borderline affordable. It's like really 46 is a little pricey, but at the same time, if I can afford it, when I want it,
Yeah,
what the
exactly.
hell? And I
Yeah,
felt like, I'm sort of lonely. I want something to occupy me, and my
yeah,
birthday's coming up. Let's splurge.
yeah.
Which one do I get? Well, I like this one, but I like the look of that too. And it's like, well, hell, you haven't seen anything come down the pike in months that you liked. And you like these 4 decks. Go ahead and get them all.
Yeah. Well,
Well, I went
I
ahead
think,
and I did it.
yeah.
And out of the 4 of them, one of them I immediately knew that I wasn't going to use or keep. It's a black and white deck. And the other one, it's just too dark for me. And it's, I don't know. And the other two, I think 3 out of 4 of them are AI decks, which I still am, wavering on the issue over AI decks. But we won't get into that. That's a whole other thing. But the fourth one, this one I don't believe is an AI deck, but I love it. It's like antique looking, like the backs. These are not my favorite backs, but it looks like antique wallpaper or something. And it reminds me of, they're sort of like vintage style illustrations that remind me of like, you got it.
I did. Do you know it came today? Oh no, it came yesterday, and I thought of you, and I thought, how weird, because I'm going on with Robin tomorrow,
How
and
did
I'd
you
already.
did you find it by accident, or did you see me
No,
walk?
I asked you. Do you remember? And you sent me the link.
Oh,
I think. I'm sure you did because
well,
we
I'm
spoke about it,
curious
didn't we?
as to what you think about it because
I think.
oddly, even though it's cardstock that I don't care for, it's not my thing, and this is
I love it,
popular
Robin.
with everybody. I had just discovered the other day it's too thick to fit in a tin box because I have tin boxes.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I just keep it in the little bag that came with these little canvas.
Oh, yeah. It's cool though because it comes with a little bag.
Did
Sorry,
you
I feel like.
order the selenite with it, or did you just get it with just the card? Because
Oh no, I got it. I didn't get a little
I
crystal
don't
with
need
it.
selenite. I mean, if it was like $2 or $3 more for a little stick of selenite. It's like, no, thanks.
Yeah. But
But
Robin, I do love this deck, and I fell in love with it when I saw it on your channel. And I haven't bought hardly any decks this year, but I did fall in love with this.
I love
Um,
it because it's almost it's remnant. Oh, I love this. This is so Patrick Valenza to me.
it is. I saw that one.
And this is kind of modern looking in a way, but it looks antique but they look like different
Mm,
antique sources. And it
yeah,
looks like the art style isn't perfectly consistent, but they all look antique. And it
I
reminds
like
me
that.
of like Marseille decks, but it's not a pip deck. However, you said you just got it today.
Yesterday, sorry, I got it
Okay,
yesterday.
I'll be curious to see how it reads for you because it does
I
not
know.
read well for me, and I don't
Oh,
know
doesn't
why.
it?
I
Well,
love looking at the cards. I love the color and the variety, and I love the imagery. But for some reason, it just doesn't read. I do these 3 card spreads that don't make any sense to me, and I don't
really,
know if I'm not mentally spiritually focused or I'm not shuffling the cards enough. I don't know what's going on, but a lot of the cards too don't. I mean, okay, this one works. You know what that is? It's the nightmare card because she's in bed, right?
yeah.
But
But this worked
sometimes
really well.
they don't look. I love that card. Sometimes they just don't read like what the label is.
But do you not think? Because I did look through these, and I thought they were. I thought they were really well put together.
Well,
The imagery.
they don't typically have, like, if it's like 5 of swords, it doesn't have 5 swords on it, but it might have that sort of. Oh, what's the one with the whole, I think it's the 10 of cups or 10 of pentacles, It's like the happy family card,
Oh
but
yeah.
you can't tell what the hell they're like kids on the roof of the
And
building.
Robin, I think you mentioned this one. The death card is it's the face, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I don't like the look of that
No,
skeleton.
I get that.
But I was
I
looking
think
at that today, and I love the woman on the ground. I love her whole. Hold it up again. See her? I love her
yeah,
sort of plaintive look, like "Don't kill me, I don't want to die."
yeah. Do some voiceovers there, Robin. But now, uh,
And I love some of the courts. Like, what's better than a king sitting in a big old cup? I mean, that's funny, but and it's
yeah,
detailed too. But look, there's weird. It's almost surreal. Look at the weird decoration on the
mm,
cup. It's like, what the hell is that? And what's this weird little figure down here at the foot of the king? Next, I mean,
yeah, it's got a lot to it, isn't it?
there's
I do like these,
a
and
lot of detail.
yeah,
Um, I'm trying to find that card with the. I mean, this makes sense to me. I mean, they're not swords, but it's the Eight of Swords. Like she's in a cage. It's that reads well.
yeah.
Um, and
What are you looking?
I just love the antique quality of it. Like,
And
okay, Nine of Wands. No, I don't know if I get this one. The Nine of Wands.
mm, he,
I mean, I
he
guess
does
he's resting or recuperating, but
insane.
I don't. I don't know.
I will say though, Robin, the images are very consistent, aren't they? I think, considering I'm guessing they're from different artists. I don't know, but
Yeah,
they do look very consistent, and I do like the grandma style wallpaper.
yeah, yeah. I love this one. It's so beautiful. And there's no swords. I mean, in this Six of Swords, but it's the boat, crossing the waters. I know
Mm,
that. I read that. I can read that. It reads the same for me without the swords. But I'm trying to find. Oh, and sometimes the cropping is a little weird. Like the chariot looks like,
yeah,
hey,
I
which
remember you
why
telling me
you
that.
chop the nose off the animal on your chariot? It's like, all
Yeah.
right. Well, I guess it still works. I still get the idea, but
The only one that I wasn't quite sure about was the Hanged Man.
oh yeah,
Um,
it's like a toy or something, isn't it?
yeah, it's cute, but
But I love the color. It's actually I don't like this Three of Swords. I mean, this looks to me like a kind of a bit cheesy Valentine's Day card or something, but I can't even see the sword. I mean, the swords are like different styles, or I don't know. I just don't like.
mm. Kristen says, "What's the name of the deck?"
Well, that's the question, isn't
I
it?
know. I have no idea.
This vendor from Turkey on Etsy,
Mm,
and it's all their decks are $46, and they have multiple names. Like this one is Vintage Tarot, Vintage Art Tarot, Antique Tarot, Antique Art Tarot. I think there are several other names. So they don't give it a specific name, so you don't know what to tell people.
no. And Simon's just said, "Are they on Amazon?" Because he has a voucher, bless him. No, unfortunately, they're on Etsy, but I think they're quite good prices on
It,
Etsy.
it's an independent
Yeah.
deck. It's an indie deck from this vendor. I
There
can't
is
remember the name.
a
It's
website.
Schmilitai or something.
IN.
SHIMILTEI.com.
Yeah.
But
Um,
yeah, but they did they did the same company did the AI decks that I got. I don't think this is AI, but I actually was going to ask Simon because he expressed interest in this, whether he had ordered it or not. I
the,
love this hermit. Love,
oh yeah,
love that hermit.
I like the hermit card. And the good thing is, though, Robin, I like that they included a bag and a box, which I thought was good. So
Yeah,
you get both, don't you?
boxes are generic, but they're like the black magnetic box that everybody loves. I love the variety in them and the color. And oh, here it is. No, is this it? Yeah. What the hell? 10 of Pentacles. So, okay, you got a happy family here, but I
Oh,
can't
yeah, I see what you mean.
tell what the hell are they doing? And they're all
Yeah. Yeah,
occupied with
maybe I haven't
something,
looked at
but,
all of these.
like, what has this kid on the roof got in their barrel or bucket or whatever? It's like these surreal shaped somethings,
I think they're horseshoes because 'cause they're lucky, aren't they?
you think? Well,
I
why
think
are they on the roof? Doesn't make
that's a good
any
question, I'm
sense.
not quite sure. Um,
But I just love the art. I love the color. I love the art. It's kind of like an old storybook. It's kind of like
yes,
Marseille deck. It's
I love
it's
that Knight of Cups
and
as
some of
well.
them look very kind of hoity-toity French, like Marie Antoinette, sort of, you know,
Yes, Bridgerton
pomp,
kind of
pomp
look.
and Bridgerton, yeah.
I know what you mean, Robin,
But
definitely.
it's one of these decks that this occupies me for hours because
Yeah,
the cards aren't overwhelmed with details, but they're so different from card to card, and the colors are so rich and pleasing.
yeah.
I just really love looking at it.
Well,
Oh,
this was one that I'm definitely keeping, Robin. Uh, you know,
yeah, me too.
I do
I'm
like
not
this
even sure why I put this in. Oh, this is one of my favorites too. The 7 of I've never seen a 7 of cups like this. There's nothing in the cups, but I love the pointed hats on these sort of witchy type characters, you
one. Are
know?
those birds or frogs on the thing?
Are they what?
Are they frogs on the cups or birds?
No, flowers.
Oh, they're flowers. Oh gosh, I need to go to Specsavers. Sorry.
But I love the sort of like little cone shaped kind of witch. They look like witches to me, making some kind of a spell over the 7 cups, and I just kind of like it. Um, I love this devil. Even though he really sticks out, he looks like a modern rendering to me. He looks so much like a Patrick Valenza devil
Yes,
to
it
me.
does.
But he
Definitely.
still somehow fits in the deck, even though it's slightly different style. Look at these 2 little extra demons here. It's
I do like that one. I thought that, Robin.
I this is my favorite devil in any deck I have, and the second one is this cute little fawn-like character in the Golden Botticelli deck, but, yeah, I just love it.
Hi,
Even the
Sandra. Sandra's popped in.
oh, Sandra. And even the aces are, I mean, it's different style, but it's close enough. It's, I don't know. I was looking at this one the other day, and it reminded me of the remake Alice movies from Disney. Because look at the size of her head compared to that crown. It's like she's got this big bulbous head.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But it is a beautiful deck. I do like it.
10 of
Um,
swords, very peaceful and pretty. I love the trees, no swords, but
no,
it doesn't need them.
no.
It looks like somebody troubled and fallen and defeated under the trees. That's 10 of swords.
Mm.
Oh, this is weird too. The magician, I love it, but what the hell is this business? What is this magic? What is this magic you're performing? Like, what are these strange things appearing in the sky?
Like off a horror movie.
Like parts of kites or little
The
X
birds, Robin.
hell? I mean, they're not antique imagery. What are they?
Yeah.
So it's like, what the hell was the source material? Is this a collaged deck somehow? But it doesn't look collaged. It's just sort of, and it doesn't look digitally done.
No. No, it doesn't look digitally done. That's what I like about it.
Yeah.
Beautiful there.
And the courts and royal, is like, this is a
Mm.
hierophant, but still, I mean,
Is this a keeper for you then, Robin?
it is. I mean, and I hate to, this actually was in my, 5 to save, 5 to let go walkthrough thing, but it was very
Mm.
new to me. and I've been using it every day since I got it. I take it to the cafe with me and I use it.
Yeah.
I still can't read with it properly, but I love looking at it and laying the cards out.
Yeah. Oh, bye, Chris. Matt Boomer. Is it Matt Boomer? Bomber. Matt Bomber is calling his name.
Oh. So, yeah, well, this is one. I mean, this sort of doesn't fit in this category in a way, because I didn't seriously consider letting this go. However, it was in a clutch of 4 decks, and I would say that the other 3 that are AI, 2 of them I'm most likely going to let go, but one of them has these autumn colors that I really love, and I will probably hold on to that. But I haven't used it much since I got them all. I've been using this one every day. But
in my pile of 5 that I would keep.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely that was.
Oh, it was one of those. Oh,
yeah.
Wow. So did you consider at one point that maybe you wouldn't keep it?
No, I knew when I saw you showed me, didn't you? And I thought, oh, I really, really like that. That's the kind of deck you'd find in your granny's attic.
Yeah.
That had been there for years. And I thought that's the kind of tarot deck that I really like. And I was just like, I love the backs because they look like wallpaper from the 20s or something. And I just thought, oh yeah, I really like that. And that's, but it's like I haven't purchased a deck for ages, and that was definitely one that stood out for me. So
Oh, Simon found it, I guess, on Etsy. It's £50.
which I don't think is bad for an indie deck, actually.
No, I don't remember it. Do you recall if it included the shipping or if that was extra?
I think it was about £50 with shipping and tax.
Yeah, I don't think it was that. So, I mean, if you include the shipping, then it's like, what, 30 or something. Yeah. So I thought it was okay. What is it? What's Sandra saying? I don't get it. This deck is Simon, so that's not too bad. No. Oh, Simon says that's with shipping.
Yeah, because most decks you buy on Etsy can be like up to £90 here.
Yeah,
and that's ridiculous.
It's not mass market, but
no.
Hey, and it does come in the you get the choice of. It comes with a canvas bag. This isn't the velveteen kind of thing. It's like muslin.
Yeah.
But it also comes with one of those black magnetic boxes. This sort of, it's not labeled or anything. It's just generic, but it's not got a very strong magnet.
Mine had that on.
Robin.
So she's obviously swapped that. You got a crystal before because I didn't get the crystal. So
no, I didn't get a crystal.
Oh, okay.
I think she just bought a whole bunch of boxes, and maybe at some point she probably started off with a warehouse of these, and now she's because mine has a card inside with that on it, and then in back there's a QR code for something. Tarot card cleansing guide. Scan QR code to access free tarot card cleansing guide. I think that's probably for the selenite that you can get with it. The tarot, it comes with a little white book, but you don't need it. It's like standard, keywords of like 6 keywords for each card. It's not necessary. But
definitely a keeper.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm enjoying it. I'm still trying to figure out how to read with it, but I'm enjoying it.
So, Robin, have you got any more that you'd like to keep?
Yeah. Well, okay. We've been on here a while, so I'll just kind of, instead of going through one at a time, I'm just gonna flash a bunch and we'll finish up here. I got the Tarot of Delphi just before it went out of print, and everybody's craving it now, that it's out of print. And mine, how when they print these boxes shiny like this, it's like paper that's glued to the box. Well, after I had mine a while, somehow there got to be an air bubble in there.
Oh, okay.
So the box is slightly less than perfect, but shit happens. It's a nice heavy box. But this is one of those decks where the card size is a little bigger than usual. And they're beautiful. And I love the classical art. In a way, this is kind of reminiscent of that one I'm getting rid of, the fairy tale one, by H.J. Ford. But these are the artwork is better defined here. It's not so muddy. But
Beautiful deck,
I
isn't it?
just find, as beautiful as these are as art cards, I don't know whether it's the size of the cards being a little too large. They are glossy. I don't mind that. They're a little bit rigid. It doesn't bother me too much. I don't know. I just don't reach for it. But the only reason I'm keeping it is because it's so valuable and out of print that I'm afraid somehow that if I let it go, I might have second thoughts and I'll never be able to afford to get it back.
I
So
know.
that's a weird reason to keep something that, like, you can't afford to replace it, so you don't let it go.
I know. I do know what you mean there, though, because sometimes you do get second thoughts about decks that you've let go of, don't you? And you're like, oh, should I have done that? And then, especially if you can't buy it back again, and that's another thing, isn't it? That's hard to fathom with yourself. Well, or how do you get it back? But
Yeah, I almost let it go because I had a friend who was really craving it badly. And I thought, they want it so badly, and I don't value it so much. Maybe I should let them have my copy. And then before I could ultimately stop waffling and figure out what I wanted to do, they found the copy. So I didn't need to. But another one is the one that you and I had many laughs over when we did our live, the jack-o'-lantern.
oh, I love the jack-o'-lantern.
And the reason I'm keeping this, it's maybe a temporary keeper. First of all, I'm not really big on thematic decks. So it's like, Halloween, great. I can use this around Halloween, and then I put it on the shelf and don't use it till next October. That's
Yeah,
one thing. The other thing is, as beautiful as his art is, I don't reach for them. I have
no,
3 of his decks, and they're beautiful. And it's funny because his style in many ways reminds me of Marchetti, but I don't like Marchetti.
mm, mm,
Marchetti is glitzy, glamour, reminds me of Las Vegas show girls, all the razzle and dazzle and
yeah,
silks, shiny silks, and Mardi Gras bells, and Harlequin costumes, and that's Marchetti for me.
yeah,
I don't know how to describe this one, but one of the reasons I'm hanging on to this is last spring he has a new deck. If Simon's still with us, this artist I think his name is Giuliano Costo. He has a new deck coming out. Was supposed to come out in November, and I forget what the name. I think it's called Tarot of Traditions or something, and it will be on Amazon. And it is Pixie's art in his style of painting. So
yeah,
it's like, if you want this really high quality art painting rendering of Pixie's art images, this is going to be the
yeah.
deck for you, you know. But that's a bad couple cards to pull. Well, there's one.
I
Uh, so he's very academically good, he's as an
yeah.
artist. But this particular deck has like way too much stuff going on each card, and I never use it. I like the other ones. The other ones are the Mystical Tarot and the Pre-Raphaelite Tarot.
Pre-Raphaelite. I like the pre-Raphaelite one.
Yeah.
I gifted mine to somebody actually because they were really loved the artwork on them, so I gifted them. But
So
they are beautiful.
so I'm not in the what's the other guy's name? The Las Vegas guy, Marquette. I'm not in the
Marketing.
school of Marquetti collectors, but I am in
No.
the school of Costa collectors. But I don't know for how long. Because like
Mm.
I love his art, but I don't reach for these decks. I don't use them. And I was burned by the pre-order thing. I pre-ordered in May
Yeah.
or something, said it would come out in November. Then I got an update from Amazon saying it now has been pushed back to January.
Oh.
You could have seen the steam rising up my scalp. I was so pissed off by that.
I bet.
I went back on Amazon and canceled my pre-order.
Especially when you think it's Christmas. You want it for Christmas, don't you? Or something like
And
that. You know.
even as the months of, I don't like pre-orders because you change your mind as the time goes by. And
I know.
even between May and September, I started thinking, gee, I'm not using his other decks. Do I really want it, even though it looks like it's going to be
Have
gorgeous?
you pre-ordered it though, Robin? Because sometimes pre-orders arrive earlier, so you may get it for Christmas.
Well, I did pre-order it, but no, well, I don't know. They changed the thing on the line. The notice on Amazon still says pre-orders, but I got a notice saying that the ordered arrival date would be January, not November anymore. And that just upset me. And
Yeah.
so I thought, well, fuck them. I'm gonna cancel my pre-order. And
What's it called, Robin? That one? Simon's asking what it's
I
called.
think it's Tarot of Traditions.
Tarot of Tradition.
And you go on you what I might do is I might go ahead and buy it when it comes out anyway, because it's going to be like $22 or whatever,
Yeah.
But I just don't like I don't want to reward them for that, that I put in a pre-order and
I
they
know.
changed the date on me. So it's like, this is my way of punishing them. They
Yeah.
don't know that I'm probably going to end up buying it anyway.
No.
But so in the meantime, I'm keeping this. But since I don't use it, I may not ultimately hold on to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the last one, I wasn't sure about this one. This is the Dream Visions.
Oh, I do like that one. Yeah.
I don't like the front cover and I don't like the back of the cards. It
I
does
think
come
Simon's on a buying spree, Robin, because he's
what,
purchased the one. He's purchased the
oh,
antique
yeah.
one, and he's
Okay.
purchased that one.
Yeah. So, I mean, this one's pretty. It's the first edition. This, again, I think this came with metallic blue edging that I sanded off.
Yes.
It's like I feel guilt over sanding it off, but I did not like the metallic blue.
Did you hear the deck scream at you when you sanded it down?
No, but I mean, look at that. It doesn't go with metal. Metal is harsh and cold.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Cutting edge to it. And this is soft. This is like light energy. That's my favorite part in the deck, actually. And they have a new edition of this, but I didn't like what she did. She actually, in the new edition, she has a matte dark blue edge, I think, or purple or something, which is beautiful. I prefer, if you're going to edge it, it be in like a matte edging rather than a shiny metal edging.
Yeah.
But anyway, but what she did was she shifted the titles around, so they're like along the sides. They're at diagonal.
She integrated it into the art, didn't she?
She changed some of the art cards, and she moved the titles, repositioned them. I didn't like it, and even though I think these images are gorgeous because there's no lines, it's all like, it's almost like airbrushed, energy, light energy or something. I love it, but I never use it. I just don't reach for it.
No.
I think that might be one of the problems of having too large a collection, because I find that I go through these honeymoon phases with decks, and I keep about 5 of them within arm's reach around my bed, on the chair next to me, on my bed, on a tray, and it's like, or in my shoulder bag I take to the cafe. And every day I use the same 5 decks until I get a new one that takes the place of one in there that I'm not using as much.
Yeah.
And so I have this constant core of 5, and I just don't feel the urge to go reaching for other decks in my collection.
Yeah, I know what you
What's
mean.
that about?
I know, and I don't know, and I'm very fascinated to understand it actually. But I'm the same. I was the same, and even now, I look at stuff and I'm thinking I'm not using it. I have a system of like five, like same as you, Robin, at one point, and then someone said to me, "Oh well, can you look at seasonal decks and get a season?" And I thought, well, yeah, I can, but I can't be bothered to do that. I can't be bothered to go through all the decks in the cupboard to find a seasonal, and
I
that made me think, well, something's wrong here. I'm not rotating all the decks. I'm just putting them, and there was decks that I forgot I even had, which, you know,
Well, if Simon ordered that vintage deck, I am dying. Simon, I'm on the edge of my seat waiting to see your walkthrough and review of that. I want to see what you have to say. And that's another thing. It's like we fall in love with these decks online, but we don't see them at their best. We
no,
don't know what they feel like in your hands. We don't know what they smell like. Sometimes we don't realize that the card size isn't right. Like
yeah,
I bought a couple decks where I thought they were, traditional tarot card size, and they weren't. They
no,
were
no,
full. It's
yeah.
my own fault because I could have scrolled down to the details and read the measurements, but I didn't. I just looked at the little thumbnail and thought, "Oh, that looks nice," you know.
And this is why it's so important, really. And this is why flip throughs are good on Tarot Tube, because you get to see the decks, don't you? And people do go into detail, and that's really great, I think, because it helps other people make a decision. You know,
But
I know.
I'd love to ask Simon. I don't know how he does it. He probably has more than 600 decks, and that's great. But how do you use them all, or how do you go about using them? Do you actually feel yourself drawn to all of them from time to time? Like I know he does these throwback Thursdays and things where he revisits stuff for his channel, but it's like, I still I've still kept mine around 180 decks. I stopped counting, but
Well, that's really good, Robin, because I
I
feel like
know
I've,
it's in that amount because I don't have shelf space for more, so
yeah,
I know that it's not more.
it's
But
space, I think, isn't it, for some
they
people?
are
But I,
up on my bed, but
yeah.
still, that's why I have to declutter. But yeah, I feel like, why am I not reaching for these decks? Or it's very rare that I'll get in my head, oh, I want to look at that deck, or I want to use that deck.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's I see somebody else doing a walkthrough or using it. I think, oh yeah, I haven't used that in a while.
I mean, I can't speak for others, but I would say people who, who have got large collections, some of them love the just to collect and have a library of
Mm,
stuff. Like, people that collect books, they don't read every book, do they? But they have a library of books. And I think that's great if you've got the space. And, I suspect there's a lot of people out there who just like that don't rotate the decks, but have it's great when you can see the collection, isn't it? I think my issue was I was putting things behind things and
mm,
they were getting lost. But if you
yeah,
can show your collection and able to pick them out, that's what I would have liked if I'd got the space, I think. But I know what you mean, Robin. I mean, for me, if I'm not using them, it takes up space, and that space that I could use for something else that I'm into at the time. But the other thing I think as well for me was that I had other interests apart from tarot, and I was really running out of space. But I know there's a lot of people out there who are. It's just tarot that they're interested in, isn't it? And I guess that's
you
my
know,
thoughts on it.
it's funny. Another one is like I have a lot of these Patrick Valenza decks, and they're ones that I look at for art cards, but I don't use them to read. The only one I used to read with was the illustrated Trionfi della Luna, which I loved, and I got a lot of use out of that one.
Yeah, yeah,
But the other ones, particularly the Oracle ones, they're great. But I just have so fallen out with Oracle decks. I can't use any of them anymore.
no,
But Halloween was coming around, and I went looking through his decks again, and I thought, you know, even though I never use this and I can't use it as an oracle, I love this. It's
Oh, do you?
Oracle of Black Enchantment. And I don't, do you know this deck?
I decluttered that one because yeah, I
You can't,
couldn't.
I can't use it as an oracle.
No, me
But
neither.
for me, I love that it looks like it's on brown butcher paper, which I love his decks that do that. Um, and I love that they're like little, it's like a little Halloween play, stage play. So it's like, I like to kind of look at the cards like they're, I mean, this for me is the perfect Halloween deck.
Yeah.
It's not a usable deck for me at all. I can't read it as an oracle deck, but I just like to look at the cards as like little scenes in a story. And we started off tonight talking about horror movies. And it's like, my God, these could be little scenes from a horror movie, or I mean, it could be a Tim Burton movie, really, but that also reminds me of the classic black and white horror movies that have, pilgrims in them or
Yeah.
witches, or,
Yes,
with
I know what you mean.
at the stake,
Old
and
style. Yeah.
there's some weird woman in the cottage at the end of the village that does weird spells in her house, or maybe a child from the village has been kidnapped in the night, and you see like the trees waving in the how
But I have to say though, Robin, I mean, you love it. It sounds like you really love that, and it's not something that you use, but it's great that you've got something that you love. You
about
collect it for the art
yeah.
sometimes, don't you? And I think that's what people with big collections do, collect it with the art. It's a collection of art, isn't it?
That's the thing. Part of me feels like this deck is a failure as an oracle. For me, for
I know
me,
what you Yeah, I know what you're saying.
maybe maybe
I've
other
got the same
people
feeling from it.
can use
Yeah,
it as an oracle. I can't. But
yeah,
what I can do is I can fill my spirit with the Halloween spirit this
yeah,
dark time of the year by
yeah.
bringing out this dark deck and just really
Embracing it.
developing myself. It's like going to an off-Broadway show, like a horror
Yeah,
story on stage. They look like stage settings to me or something. Well, maybe not this one, but there's like action taking place. It's like each one is sort of like an act, a different act in this
yeah.
Halloween play or something. So
I've been decluttering my Patrick for lenses actually,
mhm,
Robin, because I feel like I don't pull them out until Halloween, and I'm just thinking, that's another one that I'm battling with. But I'm not keen on seasonal stuff.
yeah.
Um, I guess.
Well, I he's somebody I should think about. Do I want to declutter or not? I don't
Yeah,
know. Um, but I don't get much use out of them. Even the
right.
one that I loved, the Triumphi
I,
illustrated, I used a lot initially, and I'm not using it much lately.
have you got the Mildred Payne Pocket Oracle?
I have the original one that
Yeah,
with all the extra cards that you kept getting is so fat I can't shuffle it or use it.
no,
Then I got the one that was in a practical size because
yeah,
I actually fell in love with bridge size cards. And I wish there was more available out there in bridge
yeah,
size cards, because my one of my favorite ones I've been using, although it's shifting, as they do. I've been using this one in my bag. Oh, damn it, what's it called? It's the Keishoba. Oh, it's called the Old Fellow Tarot. You know that one?
no, I don't think I've heard of that
Well,
one.
the Keishobu Tarot was in 1972 in Japan, and it was sort of modeled after Western art style decks. And oh, here it is. And then somebody we know, or Simon knows, reissued it and put it out on MPC on better cardstock, because I hated the original cardstock. So she put it out on linen stock and plastic, and I have both. Actually, I got the linen first, and loved it, but it felt a little like fragile to me, like, oh, this might wear out over time.
Mm,
So I
mm,
went and bought a backup copy,
yeah.
and then she put it out in plastic, and I thought, damn, I should have waited. So I bought the plastic one too. So now I mostly carry the plastic one around for use. It's like, little size
That's
cards,
nice.
but they're the kind of color palette
Oh, I do know this deck. Yeah,
is it's very much like Marseille,
yeah,
but it's scenic. But they're in the same way that the Morgan Greer is sort of like close-ups,
yeah.
like close-ups of like you know
I
pics
like that one.
imagery,
Yeah,
and
it's Marseille style, but without the pips, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. So no pips. You've got full scenes, and this particular one I love because this is, even though the original was more stark white, and this is like sort of off white, like antiqued.
Yeah.
I've grown to love this, but yeah, and usually in Marseille I don't like the the red, yellow, and blue. Is it? They're like really stark, off-putting kind of color, but somehow they're a little different here. Like the reds are more
Mm,
orangey and warmer. The blues are kind of, I don't know if that's called teal or
yeah.
what it is, but I don't know. But this reads really well for me. Good Lord. I mean, I could throw any card at myself and get a great reading out of this deck.
It's funny how some work really well, isn't it? And then others that you still love don't always don't always work well, isn't it?
And I
It's
know
so
the
strange.
system well enough now that I could read from any deck by
Yeah,
its labels, and yet somehow that new deck, the vintage
vintage.
tarot,
Mm,
is giving me problems.
mm,
So I don't know. I think
okay.
maybe I'm just too scatterbrained at the moment. I'm not, like they say, when you
Mm,
shuffle the cards, focus your intent, and some people
yeah,
repeat what they're looking for 5 times or whatever. You
yeah,
know, you have to know like when to stop shuffling your
yeah.
deck.
Maybe
And
you just need to spend a bit more time with it,
maybe.
you know.
So I'm hoping that I'll acclimate. I'll get used to it. But
Yeah.
it's been troublesome for me. Did you want to show me any of the decks that you
Well,
have?
most of these I've shown before, but I'll just quickly show you, Robin. So the ones that I decided to keep. So obviously the Morgan Greer, which I showed earlier, because I love that deck, and the antique one that we just did. And then, oh, I love the borderless edition of the Smith Waite. And I was always going to keep this because it's the one most people learn with, isn't it? And I certainly learned with. So I
That's what
think that's always one.
I'm teaching with that one.
Yeah, it's just perfect, isn't it, for anybody learning tarot, I think. And then I've always loved the Sawyer's Path tarot. It's
Mm,
always been one of my favourites on the
favorite.
channel.
Yeah.
Um, and then the Anna Kay. I love the Anna Kay tarot.
Are
Um,
those odd shaped or odd sized?
no, it's in a funny box, but they're normal shape. Hang on a second. That's them. They're smaller than the standard size.
Mm.
But they're different because I don't know. I just like the faces on them, although some of them are a bit melancholy. I just like
I'm
the art on them. So that's one I thought.
familiar with that one. I should check it out.
Yeah, it's she did sell in her own version, but there's a mass market version out there as well. Um, but they're both the same. But yeah,
I
those
don't
are my.
know if I want to say we're still live, but I don't know if we are. I haven't seen a comment in ages.
No, it says we're live. I think we could, mind you, I could be wrong.
The last
Yeah,
comment I see is from Sandra saying, "You have decluttered a lot, though, Ben." Oh, there's no Naomi. Okay, we're still here. Um,
yeah.
so anyway, I've kept you on way too long, and you've been really patient with
Oh no,
me.
it's been nice, Robin. Thank you for
It's
inviting
been
me on.
fun being back for this, and
Yeah,
I should try to do lives more often. Like I said, this is the first time since July. So what is that? August, September, October. Well, it's only 3 months, but that's a long time.
Yeah.
I
No,
used to
thanks.
do more, and I think I same thing is sort of happening. You know, when you reassess your tarot channel, what am
Yeah,
I going to do for content?
I know it's hard, isn't it?
All these new channels, and they're all doing the same thing. They're all
Yeah,
doing interviews, or they're all doing readings, or they're all doing walkthroughs. And it's
yeah.
like, well, what have I got to talk about? Or what are we going to
But
do for?
something always seems to present itself, doesn't it? And I think at the end of the day, don't put pressure on yourself to get content out there until, because when something does come along that you really want to speak about, then that's when it, I think, it's really interesting. And this has been an interesting conversation.
I'm excited by your channel, and I want to have you back because
Yeah,
I think,
anytime.
there's, I know a lot of people tune in because of tarot, but I think it's more about the realness of the connection of the personalities.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
like you might get something from the cards we show or talk about, but I think it's more like just two friends having a conversation in front of other people that are
people.
there, available to chat. Maybe we're not giving them enough attention, but it's just like if it feels real and you're passionate or excited about sharing something,
Yeah,
then that could be entertaining, right? You don't have
yeah,
to worry too much about the structure or the bells and whistles.
yeah,
No, I
no,
I
absolutely.
retired. I retired my pickle.
You still got it. And it works.
The
It works.
battery still works apparently.
Must have been over a year now since you've had that.
Yeah,
I love it.
I haven't used it much, but all right. Oh, whoa, 5:13. What time did we go on? 4 o'clock? 3 o'clock? We went
Three
on at
o'clock.
3. Oh my.
Yeah,
Well,
three.
oh, so but that's only 2. It's 2 hours and almost
Only
50.
two. Only 2 hours
That's
and 15.
that's still pretty good. I mean, my tarot class last week was an hour and everybody had to run.
Yeah.
Monday night we did one this week and we were on there 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it just goes to show, doesn't it? It depends on the conversation, I guess, how it goes, doesn't it?
Well, we had been doing, getting to know cards and
Mm.
just randomly like pull a card, what do you see? Or pull 3 and do a reading, do a reading
Mm,
for me,
mm,
you know. And
yeah,
then we decided this week I talked to them about the Fool's Journey. So we decided to spend the bulk of it going through all the majors. And I was saying how I was very comfortable doing readings with just the majors.
yeah,
And then I was trying to show how it could be done. But before you do it, I think it's best to know what the Fool's Journey is. So we went through all 21 cards, or 22, I guess it is.
mm,
And so that took a lot of time. But it
yeah,
was interesting because I laid them out and we were looking at each card and what everybody sees, and we could see them relating to the card that came before and the card that came after,
yeah.
and it unfolded all this new stuff. Like one of them was saying that the guy on Pixie's chariot looks like he has the same kind of hair as the Empress,
There's a lot of
and he looks like the
similarities.
son of the Empress. And I
Mm,
said, "Oh, but he's got that stern look like the Emperor." It's like
mm.
maybe he's the son of the Empress and the Emperor.
A love child.
So I mean, all this weird stuff was coming up in these cards and their relationships, and seeing things that repeated or referred back to previous cards. Like,
But this is what it's like when you talk with other people. You do see things that you've never seen before, don't you? You get different perspectives, which is always interesting, isn't it?
yeah, like the card, the Lovers card. Okay, the Lovers card has that angel over the lovers, and it's got weird hair. Do you know about the weird hair?
Yes, yeah.
we couldn't. They asked me, "What is the hair about? What's that all about?" And
Mm,
I couldn't give them an answer. And I'm using the same guidebook that they used in the tarot study group, um, and it dissects all the symbols, but it didn't talk about that one.
no.
So I can't tell. It looks like it might be fire, but it also kind of
Interesting.
looks like leaves, and some of them are reddish and some look green. So I'm thinking, well, maybe it's leaves because
Mm,
the Eve character is in front of a tree with leaves on it, green, and the Adam character is in front of a tree where it's either on fire or the leaves have turned brown.
yeah, yeah.
It's that it could be the green and the red of the change of the leaves are
Interesting.
reflected in the hair of the angel, but I'm not really sure.
Mm,
If any of you know and want to like put it in the
mm,
comments below after we're done, that
yeah.
would be helpful, but I couldn't find out. I need to do a little Googling.
We've had some nice comments in the chat, Robin. People saying lovely to catch up and great chat. Thanks, Naomi. Red Ring says enjoyed this chat. Thanks, guys. Hi, Kathy. Didn't see you there. The people and the vibes are mainly what brings me here. This has been really cool. I got a lot out of it. Well, that's good.
I have to find out how I can get in touch with Naomi because I would love to have an online chat with her or do, tarot study reading again or something. And some of these people, as I only know through chats online, you can't go in somebody else's chat and say, "Hey, you in the chat, I want to get together with you." I mean, that's like rude in somebody else's chat.
No, I know. I
But
know.
now that she's here, Naomi, get in touch with me somehow so we can find out how we can do, a visit online or maybe you'll come and guest with me to do a live would be great,
Yeah.
or just do some Zoom room readings or something, practices. All right, listen, Ben, thank you so much. Thank
Oh, you're
everyone
welcome.
who tuned in and watched and hung around. And I hope it was sort of entertaining. And think about decluttering, but no pressure, nothing.
Yeah, it's
Think
up to everybody, isn't it, what they want to do?
more important than decluttering. Think about why you select a deck or why you reject a deck. That
Yeah.
is really interesting to me.
Yes.
And you
Yeah.
see, it's not the same reasons for everybody.
No, totally
I mean,
different,
like
isn't it?
Ben and I get along great, but
Yeah.
he likes the cardstock I don't like, and vice versa.
Mm,
So it's like it can
yeah.
be weird little things, and it's
Yeah.
fun. It's great. All
Yeah.
right, folks. Naomi says, I'm slowly coming back. Have some work study maybe after that. Okay. See you all. Bye.
Bye,
Happy
everyone.
Halloween.
Yeah, happy Halloween.
Bye. Let's see. End stream, right? Yes.
Yes.